My name is Brent Adams, and you're listening to Pro Lacrosse Talk.
On Schreiber.
Sidearm win, scores!
Now it's one. Padel scores! Hands off for Rabel, switches hands and scores!
Kylie O'Miller showing off those shifty skills.
Right off the bat, there's Lyle Thompson!
Welcome to Season 2 of the Pro Lacrosse Talk podcast, the voice of Pro Lacrosse. I'm Hutton, he's Adam, and together we're bringing you interviews from all your favorite players and coaches, as well as news and analysis from all 4 professional lacrosse leagues. Welcome to another episode of Pro Lacrosse Talk. Before we get into the show today, we just want to send our condolences to all the people out there right now who are protesting, especially the family members of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor, as well as, that Black community right now that is really struggling with systemic racism. We put out a statement on Tuesday, committing ourselves. Me and Adam want to be committed to educating ourselves on the issue. And we want to just commit our platform to anybody that, is an athlete or a coach that kind of wants to get their voice out there about this issue. It's a very important issue to us. Adam and I don't come from that background, but we want to understand better how we can help the Black community and other communities that feel marginalized. We want this platform to be a voice for those that do feel that way and feel like they can express themselves. So if you do want to, put something out, please reach out to us. It doesn't have to be lacrosse related at all. But if you are a coach or an athlete, please reach out to us. Our platform is here for you. And we just want to, say that we stand with you and we're listening. We want to understand and we want to help you in this time. All right, welcome to another episode of Pro Lacrosse Talk. I'm joined by Adam, my co-host, on our 94th episode, and it is the day before our one-year anniversary. On June 7th, 2019, we had our first episode, and I think I speak for you, Adam, and myself in saying we've come a long way since then. But how are you doing this fine Saturday?
I'm good, man. Excited. Man, 1 year. It's pretty crazy how time flies, and excited to continue to grow this thing with you and get some more interviews, get some more players on, and build this thing bigger and better going forward.
Yeah, no, we're really excited to continue the brand. We appreciate you guys as fans listening to us, listening to our interviews, listening to recaps like this. This is our first recap in a while. We got a lot of information to kind of cover. Big news in the NLL, particularly with them deciding to cancel the season. We're going to talk a little bit about the New York Riptide coaching search and bring you some sound from Rich Lisk. We sat in on a Zoom conference with him. We're also going to talk about fantasy lacrosse. We're kind of taking it to the next level thanks to our partners in Flow Fantasy Inc., who have developed a platform. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and then kind of what we're looking to do with lacrosse betting. We know betting is coming with the PLL this summer. The NLL had plans for that as well. We won't get to really do any of that just now. We'll have to wait till next season for that. But we're committed to bringing you some betting content as well. We're really excited ourselves about that. So we're going to give you a little taste of that. But before we get started, we want to thank all our listeners who have tuned in and supported us, all those who have read our articles, a lot of our contributors, that have written articles for us. We owe a lot to them as well. We've had a few people come on as contributors in the past few weeks, and they're putting out a lot of great content for us too. So we couldn't do it without all you guys. A lot of people, too many to name, but we're really excited, where we're taking this platform, and, we owe it to a lot of the fans, coaches, and players who have tuned in and helped us out with this. But we don't want to, toot our horn too much with it being our 1 year anniversary. We do want to move into the weeds with some stuff. So let's start with the biggest news with the NLL canceling the remainder of its season. Nick Sakevich put out a video on Thursday making the announcement. We heard that an announcement was coming by Teddy Jenner a little bit before then. Me and you, Adam, were kind of hoping that it was going to be a playoff format. Yeah. I was a little disappointed to find out that it was not. But overall, I think it was probably the right decision for the league. I mean, lacrosse is unique in the fact that you have a lot of players playing in both the summer field league as well as the indoor box league. So the fact that, you have that overlap would make it really challenging to continue it in the summer. They also mentioned, the visas were a big issue. That's what Commissioner Sakevich said. Some were expiring in June, others were expiring in July. So, the timing just wasn't right. They decided to nix the rest of the season, focus on 2020 to 21. Disappointing end to this season, but overall, I think it's the right decision, with where the world is right now. But were you expecting this news, or were you a little bit more hopeful?
I to be honest, I was expecting the worst, but hoping for the best. Like we were talking prior to the official announcement, we were hoping there were 8 teams either at 500 or above 500, and potentially maybe having an 8-team playoff, 1-game elimination or something like that. We had mentioned off air, and it was something I was hoping for, but was not surprised when Commissioner Sikevich came out with this news. Just from a logistics standpoint, the league is growing, right, and developing, but it's not at the stage of an NBA or NHL at this moment. It's going to get there one day, but right now, from a logistics standpoint, from a safety standpoint, and then that visa thing is such a big issue that it only makes sense. I feel bad for Halifax fans and Black Wolves fans who are at the top of the standings. But when the season concluded, but it makes sense at the moment, and all we can do now is look forward to 2021 and what that season will bring.
Absolutely, yeah. I was hoping they'd figure something out, even if they could have done a 10-team playoff somehow. That way that San Diego and Calgary get in there. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. I think finding the one right arena for all those teams to kind of come together. It just, again, like you said, it just didn't seem like it was going to work out, and they don't have the infrastructure or the logistical capabilities like those bigger leagues. But we appreciate them at least trying. We're excited for what is ahead. We still don't know if we're going to hear, if there's going to be an expansion franchise going forward. It wouldn't surprise me if they put that on pause for this season, this upcoming season. But the plan was originally to have a 14th team announced. A lot of rumors that it's going to be the Fort Worth Panthers, with them filing that trademark back in February. And then there was a few other trademarks. I think they registered, like Panther City Lacrosse recently. So it sounds like Dallas-Fort Worth area is where it's, the next NLL franchise is going to be, but we don't know if that's going to come next season or it'll be delayed a little bit longer. But we're excited. We're hoping to talk to Commissioner Sikevich, later this summer as well, when they have more things ironed out. But disappointing news that we kind of expected, but it is what it is, and you kind of just got to move on from that. Some other news that we had this week in regards to the NLL, though, was the New York Riptide decided to move on from Regy Thorpe and the entire lacrosse operations staff. This news was a little bit more shocking. I mean, the Riptide finished 1-12, but it was their inaugural season. Thorpe, was brought in, I believe, in February of 2019. Lisk, interestingly enough, who is the executive VP of GF Sports, was brought in this past January. So we don't know. It sounds like, bringing him in, he probably had other plans for the franchise. And, I sat in on that Zoom conference, and he talked to players. He consulted with a lot of people before making the decision. But ultimately, he felt it was in the best interest of the franchise to move on from Coach Thorpe and his coaching staff. So let's listen to Rich Lisk kind of talk about his thought process with moving on from Coach Thorpe on what he's looking for in a new candidate.
I came on board with GF Sports in January. I was brought on board for the Riptide. We have other properties, but for the Riptide, I was brought on board to evaluate the business side and then our lacrosse operations side. A few months into that, then I took over officially running the lacrosse operations department, which then made me have a little bit more intricate look into what we were doing. Also, for those of you who don't know, I've been in the league for 8 years, 2 in Philadelphia, 6 in New England. So I was observing from the outside. When I say outside the organization also. And then when I started observing from the inside, I started formulating a plan that I thought needed to be set in place. And I want everyone to understand this, that it's the way the plan is set up. There's a team and there's an organization. Those are 2 very separate things. So the team is one aspect of the whole organization. So I was looking at what is best for the whole organization on the business and the lacrosse operations side of that. I did have the opportunity to speak with our staff, our coaching staff, and our GM and assistant GM. I also had the opportunity to speak with our players and get feedback on that also. And when I put all of that feedback together, my Rich Lisk's recommendation to the board was to move in another direction from our lacrosse operations department. I presented that to the board, and it was not a hasty decision at all. I'd like to preface this, and I should have started off everything by saying too that I have a lot of respect for what Regy and his staff did. I won't name all of them. I'll use Regy and his staff right away off of that for what they did by coming in here and starting a team from scratch and building the foundation for us to build on. But it was my recommendation moving forward as an organization that this was the best path to take. I have developed for lack of a better word, like an RFP type thing. I've developed a document that candidates that I'd like to talk to will be given, and that will be an intricate document to explain what we're looking for. First and foremost, and I said this to the team yesterday, I think everything starts with the person. And I and Stamper, you and I know each other very well, and I think I might have said this a bunch of times. I want men on this team that have character, and I do not want characters. And that starts from the top. So first and foremost, the people I'll be looking for will be good human beings and have good character. And then I will filter down from there their lacrosse knowledge, their systems, their communication style, and everything. But there's a culture here that I want to instill, and they have to be on the same page of that culture. So it's not going to be I don't want to say a quick one, because I don't want it to seem again that we are not going to be hasty with this. This is the step for us to build this organization for the next 10 years. So 10, 15 years. So I'm taking painstakingly to make sure that we find the right people for that job, starting with the head job. Now, your question was twofold, and I'm not closing the door on anything. As you know, I came from a GM background. So I do have that. But if I find the right candidate that could be a GM and a head coach, then I'll look in that direction. If I find a candidate that is just a good head coach and not a GM, then I'll look in that area. There's nothing closed. There's no pathway that I'm saying this is the only way we're going to look for something. We're going to keep everything open, because I think that gives us the best opportunity to find the best candidate for this organization.
All right, so that was some excerpts from Rich Lisk, who is the executive VP of GF Sports, which owns the Riptide. So we mentioned he was talking a little bit about possibly being the GM himself, not ruling that out. He may go with two candidates for the job, a separate head coach from the GM, and he may, again, hire another head coach and GM to wear both hats. So not ruling out anything right now. Wants to consult with the players as well on the hiring decision. So I think he's going about it the right way. He said he's going to look at seasoned candidates as well as, candidates that maybe have a lot of experience at the senior A level, but no NLL coaching experience. He said he's not opposed to that. He's really, taking a whole approach to this, which, makes a lot of sense. And, I don't think they're going to be, too hasty, he said, with the decision, but he does want to find a coach by the end of July at the latest. With the draft coming up this fall. And, obviously, with player off-season acquisitions, he wants to make sure to have a leader in there by the middle of this summer. But what was your reaction to the news of Coach Thorpe's firing?
Yeah, mixed emotions, right? It's a tough situation when anyone loses their job, especially this quickly after uprooting a family from wherever you may be to come into a position. And expansion franchises don't usually succeed right away. In NHL, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, they're an anomaly, right? When it comes to expansion franchises, and you saw what 1 year difference did for a team like the Wings, who did not have a great season that first year, but were playing better at the end of that season. And look how things turned out for them in this shortened season this year. So tough situation. Obviously, you never want to see anyone lose their jobs. and I was honestly surprised that they didn't get more than a year to put things together, right? I think it takes time to put something like this together, and I don't think anyone, if you ask them, would have expected an expansion franchise like the Riptide to excel like they did in year one. So I don't know.
And I think too, the biggest thing is you look at their games; they were getting better. They were putting it together. They won that close game against Georgia, which got their first win. And even some of their later losses, the games were much closer than the beginning. Them and Rochester had a very similar season. The fact that they were starting off some of these games, blowouts, kind of putting it together and just losing those close ones. So, yeah, I don't know if you can blame it completely on Coach Thorpe, but it does seem like, Lisk wants to kind of just clean house and, maybe bring in his own guy. We kind of talked about, me and you were bouncing off ideas, in private about who we think. I really think Daryl Gibson is probably on Lisk's radar.
Sure.
His son Tyson, obviously number 1 overall pick last year, plays on the Riptide team. He is an offensive coordinator with the Black Wolves, and Lisk brought him in 2018, I believe, when Lisk was with the Black Wolves. So there's that connection there. I know some fans were mentioning Bruce Codd. He's a name that kind of comes around every time there's a coaching vacancy. Obviously, known for his career in Calgary and Arizona. But, he's an assistant right now with Toronto. I think he would be a good candidate. I don't know. What are your thoughts on who should replace Coach Thorpe?
Yeah, speaking of keeping it in the family, another fan mentioned Dan Teat. If things were to go as planned, it would look like that Riptide would have that first overall pick in the entry draft. Everyone is expecting it to be Jeff Teat. So bringing in Jeff's dad as head coach could be something that some fans are looking at, and potentially the Riptide as a whole. So either of the first picks overall potentially could have their dad behind the bench. But I'm sure there's a ton of guys that we obviously haven't mentioned yet, especially at the senior level. So it'll be interesting to see where they go, especially since this was such a surprise as a whole.
Yeah, no, and the number 1 pick thing is interesting too, because you assume the Riptide will have it if there is no extra expansion franchise, but that's still up in the air too. A lot of everybody was kind of saying tank for Teat, but we still don't know if a 14th franchise comes in. The recent history has shown that they'll get the number 1 pick. So even if you're bringing a Dan Teat, no guarantee that Jeff's still available right there. But we'll see what happens. I think there's probably a lot of candidates out there too that we're not even mentioning right now that we're overlooking that would be great for the job. But those were a few that I think were on our radar. But yeah, definitely is, a bit of shocking news, earlier this week.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Pro Lacrosse Talk podcast. Today I want to talk to you about our sponsor, Anchor. We've been using Anchor for the Pro Lacrosse Talk podcast since the very start. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place, and better yet, it's free. They allow you to easily record and edit your podcast, and once it's published, they send it out to all the major networks such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. They also connect you with advertisers so you can start making money from your podcast right away. So if you're thinking about starting a podcast today, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Today, I also want to talk to you about Design Tree. On our Design Tree store, we have several t-shirt designs like the Pro Lacrosse Talk tee I'm wearing today, our Blast Lacrosse shirt, Cross's Medicine shirt, and many more designs on the way. Design Tree is also home to hundreds of other t-shirt designs in the realm of sports and pop culture. To help support the podcast, please consider checking out our Design Tree store at dsgntree.com/pro-lacrosse-talk and grab a shirt today.
Let's get into a little bit about what we're doing this summer. We know we've talked a little bit about the PLO Championship Series. There hasn't been too much news coming out of that since we last did a recap episode. But we did announce that we are doing fantasy lacrosse. If you guys did fantasy lacrosse challenge that we ran last summer during the playoffs, it was, I think, a lot of fun. I think it was a good taste of what it could be, but we really wanted to take it to the next level. Adam and I are not coders. We do not have the capabilities of creating our own platform, and that's, what a lot of people wanted, ourselves included. We love playing, fantasy sports, and that's something we really wanted. And we were lucky enough to have linked up with Flow Fantasy Inc., Grant and Spencer are two guys working with that startup fantasy platform. And we reached out to them and we decided, to form a partnership. They're doing the whole challenge themselves with the platform. They are making it automated. We've got the, kind of the seal of approval for the PLL that they can pull from their stats. It is not related to the PLL, though. The PLL is not overseeing any of this. So I just want to be clear. This is separate completely from the PLL. They are not endorsing this, but they have told us that they are fine with us using their stats, which is, important for us. We want to make sure that, we do get their good graces. But this is completely unrelated to the PLL, but we're excited because it'll be 2 weeks to really actually feel what, pro lacrosse fantasy could be. They have it completely automated that you can have your own draft. You can do 2 different types of leagues. It can be 2 to 7 teams where you have a goalie and a face-off guy, or it can be 8 to 12 teams where you have a face-off and goalie slot. The scoring for face-off and goalies is going to be based on similar metrics so that they're going to be kind of even. So that way you can have those 2 different options. But we're really excited. I've already created a league myself that Adam's in. We're hoping to add a few people to that. My name is going to be Dylan Ward Spelling Bees, and it's going to be spelled incorrectly. Sorry, Dylan. But we're just really excited because it's actually real fantasy lacrosse this time, guys. It's not just us. I know anybody that participated in the NLL, we were doing a lot of that by hand, and it was taking a little while for the results to come through. This, you're going to get the results within hours, maybe even sooner than that, as Grant tells us. We've been talking with them a lot. They're the ones handling the actual platform themselves, but we're excited to partner with them. We're going to be doing a lot of content, kind of helping you guys set up your roster and telling you which guys to start, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Adam, have you given any thought on what your team name's going to be, and what excites you the most about this partnership with Flow Fantasy?
I'm still contemplating the name, to be honest with you. The Dylan Ward one is pretty fantastic. I'll have to keep thinking on that. But, I'm so excited to continue to grow the game of lacrosse in general, and I think the opportunity for fantasy in a more professional way other than us hand calculating scores is what the sport needs at the moment. And this hopefully will bring in some new fans to the game that are just interested in the fantasy side of things and continue to grow the game we love. And it's excited to have some competition, and in a league like this, it'll be fun to see who comes out on top on PLT. We didn't get to finish out our ranking of our head-to-head wins-loss column for the NLL, so this might have to take over for that at the moment.
Yeah, I know, and I still owe you lunch from the PLL or from the Pro Lacrosse picks last season, as well. Yeah, but I'm really excited. I love fantasy as much as anybody else. This is actually, again, I know I keep harping on it, but this is real. Like, you log in, you go to flowfantasy.com, you sign up, you log in, you create your team name. You can create, we have the logos kind of from last year where it's different colors of the teams. You're going to be able to, draft players. You're going to be able to trade players in a short window, pick them up through the waiver wire. This is actually fantasy lacrosse. It's not, just a pick 'em challenge like we were doing last year. And we really love what Grant and Spencer are doing, and we appreciate them, letting us, provide official coverage of this platform and kind of help them grow it. And like you said, Adam, I think the biggest thing is, we were never in the fantasy game kind of to, create our own platform. We were in it because we just want to play fantasy lacrosse. And I think it's a great way to attract new fans of the game. I think that's a great aspect of what the PLL is doing with sports betting. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit too. But, it's another avenue for people to get in the game of lacrosse. You can, that's the biggest thing. I think if you sign up, guys, invite some friends that aren't lacrosse fans to join your leagues. It'll get them interested. It'll get them watching these games this summer. And, especially with all the different sports coming back around the same time as the PLL, we're going to need to get eyeballs on the games in order to, make a difference in TV ratings. That's a big thing if we want to keep the, professional lacrosse alive. We want to keep the Premier Lacrosse League going. They need us to tune into these games. And what better way than to grow the game and getting your friends involved in your fantasy league and, getting them interested in the sport. So, we're thinking we're doing our small part in that and growing the game. But I mentioned betting. Adam, how excited are you that we can actually bet on these lacrosse games? I know we have a lot of plans to kind of provide our own coverage of the betting sphere once they kind of release more of the details on that. But how excited you are to bet on lacrosse?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We haven't had this opportunity in the past, and to really dive into the numbers and see what our picks mean. There's going to be a little bit more weight behind potential picks this year instead of just our pick'em league for bragging rights. So there may be money involved, right? So I'm super excited to have some contributors also, not just you and myself, as a part of this that know a little bit more about the betting side and to really help the fan base with the betting side of things, learn a little bit more about some smart bets, some prop bets, and all that good stuff. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we're hoping to have fun with it. We don't know, again, what the details are going to be in the betting, if it's going to be a lot of prop bets or mostly, like the over-unders and lines. But we'll have our own, fun with it too, even if it's just, not for real money. We'll do some fun prop bets for our weekly show and stuff. I have to ask, though, so I asked you how excited you are. Now, have you told your wife that you're planning on betting on lacrosse? Now, that's the tricky thing is, we're excited, but are the people that
around
we're
us
in relationships with excited? I don't know about that.
I don't think I'll be betting large enough quantities for it to be that big of an issue, but I'll probably run it past Mads before officially making any bets.
That's what
right?
everyone says, though, before they get involved. So
Yep.
each other in check. We'll keep each other in check, or we'll both be bad influences on each other.
Yep, absolutely.
But we're really excited. We're gonna, hope to have some segments on that betting specifically. Some more video content. We're trying to do, a lot more content video-wise. I'm in the process of putting all our podcasts on YouTube right now. We've got about half of them up there. Hopefully by the time you guys listen to our next episode, they'll all be up there. I'm working on that right now. We're doing some throwback segments. Isaac Berkey, who's with us as a contributor, he's done some throwback interviews with Stephen Kelly and Taylor Quinn, the two people that scored the first goals in PLL and WPLL history. So you guys can check those out. And feel free to just let us know, guys, what you guys want to see. If you like our fantasy coverage when it comes out, let us know if you want more of it. Same with the betting side of things. Same with these podcasts, and these Pro Lacrosse Talk Lives we're hoping to do more of. Just let us know what you want to see more of. Again, we're hitting a year here, but we're by no means seasoned. We're still growing. We're still learning. Yeah, we're really excited what is to come this summer with lacrosse. And we're looking forward to, again, paying attention and watching and growing the game with you guys. But any parting thoughts, Adam, on the betting or fantasy sphere before we go?
I mean, we have betting, we have fantasy. What's next? We got to get EA Sports in here and get a video game out there to officially do the trifecta and get all of the non-lacrosse fans.
Absolutely. PLL Blitz. Remember, if you guys listened to our conversation with Diggs, PLL Blitz is what we want. We want it to be an awesome version of lacrosse. I know the NLL too was trying to get the whole video game thing going.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's next. Again, esports kind of taken over with this hiatus, in sports. You have people simming games.
Yep.
I mean, that's, again, the next thing. And I think that's the thing with all these avenues. It's another avenue for not traditional lacrosse fans to get involved in the sport, because right now it still is predominantly a lot of people that, that pay attention to pro lacrosse. They played lacrosse in high school. They played lacrosse in college. We want to really attract, I know this is a big mission for a lot of these leagues. They want to attract fans that have never picked up a stick before, that maybe don't know that much about the game, but, enjoy watching it. And want to get involved more. So that's, these are some ways that they can do that. And that's what we're hoping to bring a little bit ourselves and hopefully, cover a little bit more. But that wraps up our 94th episode of Pro Lacrosse Talk. This has been a year in the making, these 94 episodes, and we're looking forward to, getting to 100 pretty soon here, and, 200, 300, and 400. We're going to, be here for a long time. And we appreciate you guys listening. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you guys again for tuning in each week. With that, though, that wraps up our 94th episode. We hope you tune in next time to Pro Lacrosse Talk.
Today, I also want to talk to you about Phoenix supplements. I started using Phoenix supplements after searching for a supplement brand that didn't use any unnecessary additives. Phoenix's line of supplements use only the required ingredients and is free of any fillers that many supplement companies use. Not only that, but their supplements are produced here in the US in an FDA-regulated facility, and the best part is they taste really good. I personally like using the Orange Dreamsicle protein blend in the morning, and I use their chocolate whey following workouts. So if you're interested in trying Phoenix supplements, visit their website, fnxfit.com, and use the code PROLACROSSE to receive 15% off your order today.